What's up, Tiger Nation? Steve Leslie, YSNLive.com, your home of the Springfield Tigers. It's Tuesday night at the Tigers table every Tuesday. Come on down. Cannot thank Melissa and Rob and Tiffany and Debbie for all they do for all of us at YSN and all they do for Springfield and their athletic programs. With the head coach, Sean Guerriero. Coach, thanks for joining us.
I just want to say thank you for you coming this week. I know you were on
pleasure.
vacation last week.
On vacation. Let's go off of that. I watched the game last week. Very good football game. Most solid performance so far this year. I know offense, defense, special teams, you talk about that. All three were really solid against a good Jackson-Milton team.
It was. I thought our kids played, solid in every aspect of the game. We got to clean up some stuff, and we definitely have to work on some things. We had too many penalties and special teams. We had to miss out here and there, but even overall, offensively, I think we were 5 for 6 with touchdowns. So I couldn't have been happier with the way the kids came out of Friday.
I want to ask you, how do you, from a coaching standpoint, how do you work on penalties? Because sometimes I think penalties maybe make kids not playing hard or playing sound, and penalties come off of that. Is that fair to say, or how do you try to limit maybe dead ball penalties are obviously a little more concerning?
You don't want to take the aggressiveness, out of the kids, just like you said. That's something where, and I feel like our kids play hard all the time.
Sure.
So that's something that it gives us a push. And there's going to be times where you're going, but it's really more about knowing where you are, what's going on, the communication of it for our kids, because it's time where it's, if it's a long third down, we don't want to make sure that we get a hit out of bounds or things of that nature if it's necessary. So I just think you got to make sure, communicate. The kids are aware of it, to make sure we're smart at times. I'm going to throw a situation. We had a rollout. It was 4th and I think it was 4th and 5 or 4th and 6. I made a bad play call, and boy, the kids really reacted to it. Earlier in the game, we had a 3rd and short. I called a little speed out, where it's really a one-man route. The first time we ran it, we got the first down. So I'm thinking I think it was 4th and 4. I'm thinking they're going to be in press coverage.
Sure.
So I call it out and up. I'm going for kind of a home run ball, and the corner's 12 yards off. I'm like, oh my gosh, why didn't I just? Seeing how the way they lined up, Colton made a great play. Dylan cut his route down and came back to the ball, but Thomas Shealy on that had a chance where he kind of got in the kid's way. But when you talk about things, instead of hitting somebody, boxing them out and doing those things. So it's more about the knowledge of the kids of where you are. And Thomas Shealy did a great job. Came back, kind of boxed out the kid, gave Colton another, another second to throw the ball. But it's just more about knowledge and for them to be aware of it. And some of that stuff is you got to make sure they are playing hard, but it's more about the knowledge, communicating what you want, and being smart, knowing the situation, knowing down the distance and things of that nature.
I love the progress of this group. I really do. And talking with you each week, are you seeing what maybe I'm seeing starting to take its own each and every day, each week? Things continue to get a little better?
Well, I do think our line on both sides of the ball our line play has gotten better. Knowing, quicker reads, spots for the wideouts, things of that nature, and it's the process of repping it out. I'm more on the other half. If we run a play and we can score, but for some reason, you never feel like you can quit coaching. So I'm always going to find something.
So so take me. You call the plays, obviously. Take me through that. Is it one play at a time? Is it something maybe in the back of your mind you remember from a quarter ago? Take me through that process of what's going through the head coach's mind.
So when for offense and you end up seeing, obviously you want to put your kids in situation. Now, my call sheet of what goes on you, I have 3rd down calls or 2nd and short calls. So you go through that. It kind of depends on the situation. Do we have a chance to kind of work it downfield? Do we take a shot? How do you think you could take advantage of a situation? So that's more kind of a game plan type thing of situations. You have your 3rd and short,
Mm-hmm.
3rd and long, things of that. So that's something that we work on throughout the week, that you kind of push your groupings in situations to make sure you have plays if you need them. To me, when you talk to different play callers or colleges, where you have people that are more planned like that, or you have people that are just going to kind of call it. So in different situations, I probably am a little bit more of a, I don't want to say gunslinger, but I'd rather end up calling it off. I want to end up where if I see something we can take advantage of, I'm going for it. On a 4th and 1, I was more for, I'll even tell the kids if it's 3rd and 3, and we're close to the 50 on this. We got 2 downs to get this.
Exactly.
So the kids know that too, and they get used to how we end up calling games and doing things. And then you want to – I always try to break some tendencies that we have. So any tendency we have, whether it's running power to our tight end or doing that, we always try to break a couple of tendencies off of that. But I'm more of a person. I think I'm an aggressive play caller.
I would
like
think
to
so.
end up doing that. But our kids really played well offensively. I was so happy. In the way they played. And again, when you call holding and things of that nature, that to me, if we get called holding, that's off of our footwork. Our footwork is,
okay.
You know what I mean? Our footwork of our lineman is not in the right place where we're holding and we're stretching. So that's where I always say where I'm not, there's always something we can improve on and we're never going to be satisfied.
I love talking football with you each week. Now you get to week 7. Do fundamentals, and you said that about footwork and that's where penalties happen. So do fundamentals even become more important than they normally are as the weeks continue to go on and you get deeper into seasons and playoff runs?
I think so, because as the season goes on, if you get on playoffs, then you're going to start playing better teams, and you're going to start going, and teams get more reps. So I think that's important because we got to make sure that we stay consistent in what we're doing. But when you know what I mean, when you want to go to a playoff team and just the experience that we had, if you go a couple rounds in the playoffs, your fundamentals have to be sound and have to be there by then. If not, you are going to get beat.
So, and practice, bumps and bruises, everybody's nicked up. Does fundamental work even become more a part of a practice?
Where we're at
from
times,
a physicality standpoint?
Well, you end up doing that, but you got to learn to manage the kids, and I think our kids do a great job. That's one thing with the run that we had. A couple of years ago. It's about managing your body, taking care of yourself, making sure you're getting sleep. If there's something wrong, we got to make sure our kids are going to treatment. Stay 15 minutes after practice, hit ice, hit stem, do those kind of things. Okay. And our kids buy into that. You know what I mean? Our kids understand where, hey, we got to make sure we go see our trainer. After practice for 10 minutes just to make sure, and they really do a good job. And our trainer does a phenomenal job of keeping our kids practicing and keeping them involved and making sure that sometimes we're not doing too much with somebody, or you get to that. So I'll give a little shout out to Carrie, who does a great job with our kids, and the kids respect her. And she's not. She can lay the hammer down on the kids too, where it's like,
and you need that.
Your butts need to be in here and do this.
And I say that because I think Springfield's one of the best at managing their kids. And I've watched you guys do that, doing what we do, being a part, being around it. It's a long season that, like you said, if you're not taking care of those things come up to bite you in the long run.
Well, you'll see that. That's the key about building depth. That's one thing that, when you get into it, because we've had injuries throughout where I can remember times where we had a kid who really didn't play too much of the season. We have an injury, and then he played the whole playoff run for us. So you get that where kids don't understand. You got to make sure you stay on it. You got to stay with it throughout the season, because you never know when your number's going to get called. You never know when the team's going to end up needing you. So, and I do think our kids, when they get their shot, some kids will take advantage of it. That's when you're talking with Dante and Case, and with those two, who are two great kids, but they're competitive. When they get the ball. I can guarantee you they both want to carry the ball 20 times.
But they also give you the right answer of. And I talked about this with Dante. Sharing is not one of the higher things in today's world, people that know how to share. I think they do a really good job of sharing the football and doing things to help this football team win.
And that's what you do have to talk about that, because this is one thing when you get into a 10-game season and whether you have one back, and this is something that I learned, a couple of years ago, when you get one kid that's carrying the ball,
30 times, 25.
Even 20 times a game, after 10 games, they're getting hit. So right now, I think it keeps both of them a little bit healthier, where they're not going to take, 20 hits a game. And Dante was a little bit banged up with his ankle a little bit, last week. So we gave Case a little bit. And I feel like they understand that. And they buy into the system. One game it might be Case, the next game it might be Dante, but the competitiveness of both of them, I think, push them to be the backs that they are.
There's no doubt. It's two talented backs. I think it's the best tandem around. I really do. And that's not to take. There's a lot of good running backs in there, but those two do a very good job. With Coach Guerriero, Coach's Corner here Tuesday night. Are you happy with the depth of where you're at right now going to week 7?
Yeah, it seems like we do a good job of rotating the kids in, giving kids shots. So there's different there's different things and there's different aspects of it. I mean, offensively, I just like right now that we keep kind of building our playbook where we can come out and we can be 4 wide. The next play we might be 2 back, 2 tight ends, and single wide out. So I think with that, with giving a lot of different looks to teams, I mean, it gets difficult when you have to practice everything rather than focusing on one thing. So when you end up going through right now, I really felt good about how our kids played last week and the different groupings that we're using, the different formations that we're doing. So, offensively, we were clicking on Friday, and it was a good night for us to end up clicking because right now, when you give the kids the carries and who's getting the ball and getting the ball out quick, it just makes things go smoother, and the kids start having fun.
Yeah, they're having fun, no doubt, and playing well, executing on both sides of the ball. They will face Western Reserve Friday night at home. Come on down and check out the game. If you cannot, we'll have it for you on YSN. Another challenge coming up Friday night. Western Reserve, very good football team, well coached, play very hard, physical. Talk about them a little bit.
Well, they're gonna give us some, some challenges for sure. Offensively, they got a ton of different skill kids, and they share the ball very well. So we can't just focus on 1 or 2 kids. So that's something we got to do. They have a run game that they like to stretch the field a little bit and get the ball out. So that's something that we got to make sure that again we're Simon sound, and we got to make sure that we're doing our own job. And not trying to key off 1 or 2 players. For them defensively, I think they're big up front. They're going to try to eat up double teams, and the linebacker core is I think very good. They run to the ball well. They get through seams and gaps, and they're going to attack and end up getting downhill. So it'll be one thing for our linemen to make sure that we understand the blocking scheme and who we're going to or who we're doubling and end up bumping off to. And their back 7 runs to the football. Both safeties are active. Both corners are active. So it'll be a challenge for our kids, just to make sure that we're doing the right thing. And we got to get downhill if we're running the ball and get the ball out quick and try to get the ball to our athletes in space.
No doubt week 7, Coach Guerriero, biggest key for victory in week 7.
Oh, gosh. You still want to end up building through last week's, but it's still gonna come down to turnovers and special teams. And even now, we always put the challenge for offense. I don't think we've punted in a couple weeks, which has been good. But you try to throw challenges, but it's still going to be. Missed assignments or turnovers is going to end up, winning the game or end up. Who's going to struggle there? So I always say right now, I'd love us to have a quick start. So that's, some things that hopefully we can end up building on. So we get a quick start. We can be productive, not turn the ball over. I think we'll have a good chance to end up winning it.
There you have it, Tiger Nation, right from the head ball coach. Friday night, they will face Western Reserve at home. Coach, thanks again for joining us. Best of luck Friday night. Continue to do what you do, and we'll talk again next week.
Thanks so much, Steve. I appreciate you guys.